Hello and welcome to the Pod Awakens, a Star Wars fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and joining me, I think for the first time on this show, is Jack Sewpersaud. How are you today?
Good. And since this is our second podcast recording of the night, still a little bit tired.
Yes, this is right after our Marvel wrap-up of Disney Plus Day. We are doing a Star Wars Disney Plus Day recap and just general news because there wasn't a lot to talk about on Disney Plus Day. So just catching up on all this stuff, as this will probably be the first episode of the relaunch of the Pod Awakens. So I hope everybody is settling in to that because we got a brand new logo. We've got this great series I'm doing, which is called the Road to the Book of Boba Fett with my cousin. We recorded that today. That'll go up sometime after this. And it's all about following Boba Fett and his journey through the canon of Star Wars. So I recorded the Attack of the Clones one today, and we're going to record some Clone Wars episodes recaps. We're just going to talk all 5 of those at once, but we'll be doing that the following week. So lots to talk about with Star Wars, just going on in general with that, but not a lot on Disney Plus Day, unfortunately. And Jack, since it's your first time on the show, I didn't have you prepare anything, but I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you your favorite Star Wars film, your favorite Star Wars character, and if it's not a Jedi, your favorite Star Wars Jedi and villain. Okay, so
Okay.
those are your categories. So you have 5 seconds to think about them. As now I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, that one's easier because we talked about this a little bit before.
Yes, yeah.
It's Episode 3, which
I think we talked about it on the Marvel pod for whatever reason we did on that one at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's the movie I've watched the most, and it's always the one I had the most fun with. I remember because it came out when I was like 5, and I watched it for the first time when I was 6. It was a big deal because it was a PG-13 movie, so I got to watch it when I was 6. Huge deal. But I remember I got for like my 6th birthday, my uncle gave me like a replica of Anakin's lightsaber, and I had no idea what to do with it. So I would just replicate the Obi-Wan pose when he lands in front of General Grievous. Like every time the movie came on, I'd do that, and it was
the hello there, or the
yeah, the hello there, and then the pose that he does after there. It's I love that thing. I tried to get all the choreography down with it and everything. It was I love that movie so much, and looking back on it now too, it's more of the kind of movie I'm like interested in. It has a good mix of like some of the political stuff in like Phantom Menace that we had, but it's not all that, right? There's still some of the action and the lightsaber battle on Mustafar. Come on, like the best lightsaber battle, in my opinion, in the Star Wars franchise. So that's my opinion.
I will say George Lucas ripped me off on that. I will say that because he must have had cameras in my friend's house, because when before the run up to episode 3, we had we were always playing, with the lightsabers.
Yep.
And we would come up with our own thing. And we came up with this part where we're fighting each other and we both force push at the same time and nothing happens. And then like one of us lets go and the other one goes flying. And like that happens in the Mustafar battle. We also made this, like, we were doing like parody stuff where we're fighting with each other and Mace Windu gets pushed out of a window, right? And that happens in Revenge of the Sith. I'm sitting there watching it and I go, I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, George Lucas stole this from us. We had a few things in there that we would, do, and it was a lot of fun. So it has a soft spot in my heart as well for that. All right, your favorite Star Wars character, is that right? Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Your favorite Star Wars character.
That one's so tough because there's so many great characters, in it, and it sounds kind of weird when I say this, but I think my favorite
Jar
one.
Jar.
No, it's C-3PO. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
3PO is
C-3PO.
good. Yeah.
I I I really like him. I think he's hilarious. He's like the unintentionally funny character, I think, in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the movies. And I can relate to him being like anxious about everything all the time. That's me. So I relate to him. And he's just funny. I can't
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah.
I can't really explain it otherwise. Also, in a statistics class I'm taking right now, there was an entire chapter that goes into
Never tell me
his.
the odds.
Yeah, exactly. It calculates the odds though of Han Solo's survival.
Oh wow.
77%, by the way, approximately, if you're interested, is the viewer's assessment of the average viewer's assessment of his odds going through it. But I don't know. It just made me remind me of him. I was like, yeah, that's my favorite character. It might be boring, but it is.
No, it's good. And it's one of my biggest complaints about the sequels. Everybody that listens to this should know I'm a sequel lover, but my biggest complaints are not enough 3PO or R2.
Yeah.
In them at all, for them being such a big through line in the original 6 movies. Very very sad we don't get a lot of them in the sequels. Okay, favorite Jedi.
Favorite Jedi. Oh, do I go really basic or?
You could go main Jedi, and then you could go like background Jedi if that's what
Okay,
you're
that
thinking.
helps. That helps. Obi-Wan is my favorite
Yes.
one
Okay.
because I mentioned already that I tried to get his lightsaber choreography down
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
episode 3,
I should have
and
guessed.
yeah, I really like him. But if there was a secondary Jedi, I have no idea why, really, but Plo Koon, for whatever reason, all I have no rationale behind it, really.
He
It's
looks
just
cool.
he does look cool. That's probably the most solid rationale I'd get to for that. But yeah, I also really I think it's also because I collected I still collect a lot of Star Wars Legos, and his figure was always like one of my favorites because of it's a weird head mold that they use for him.
Oh
Like it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
squishy on it. It's really strange because like Lego heads are usually like solid, but
Yeah,
this one is
yeah.
just like super squishy. It's funny for for no reason.
Yeah, mine is Obi-Wan as well. So, and it's funny, we just talked about Plo Koon on the one we recorded today. So I'm gonna leave that as a teaser for people to listen to, look ahead for. But and then my favorite background one, of course, is Kit Fisto. Love Kit Fisto. And that's his signature move too. Like when he pushes 3PO back and he
Yep.
smiles. Yeah, love Kit Fisto. Okay, favorite villain or Sith, I guess, whatever way you want to go with it.
Villain or Sith? I wish I could say like honestly General Grievous, but he didn't get enough character development ever to really mean anything enough to be like a huge villain, which is disappointing because he's so cool. And there's like a few animated episodes like from a way older animated Star Wars series. Way older for me, meaning like early 2000s, I think.
You mean
but
the 2D Clone Wars by Jendi Tarkovsky or whatever?
that I think that's the one. Yes, I think that's the one. But
Yeah.
he just doesn't get enough character development overall, right? So if I have to, God, these questions are tough. These are tougher than the Marvel ones, honestly. That I did on the first one there. I think I'd probably go with Count Dooku.
Okay.
I think so. Although he doesn't get a ton of development either, but
Well, he gets more than Grievous.
He does get more than Grievous.
Gets more than Maul.
That's
if you talk about movies, yeah.
Right. It's a low bar to clear for
yes.
for getting more character development than General Grievous, but still, I really like him. He has a cool lightsaber, the curved hilt as well.
Yeah.
Also, for whatever reason, I cannot think of who the actor that plays him is.
Christopher Lee. Yeah.
Yes, but his
voice
in it is just incredible. Like, really nails home that menacing tone of like this. That's like what you expect from a Sith, right? That is what you expect.
And it's funny. We talked a lot about Christopher Lee and his performance as well on our Attack of the Clones one, because he was just so good in those films, and like Lord of the Rings and all that good stuff. He's a very classically trained actor. And was that all of them? I'm gonna throw you a new one here.
Okay.
Real quick. Favorite trilogy of the Star Wars trilogies?
I'm gonna say original,
just
because I think it is it. So like I like the sequels and the prequels. The sequels suffer from the fact that they never had a continuous director through all of them, and it changes the vision way too much from it to feel like a fluid. Right. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a fluid trilogy. Like, it doesn't feel planned out. The prequels just it's just a Jar Jar tax, really. I think is how I would describe. It's more than that, but
I mean, he's really only in Phantom. Like, they really cut his role down after after the fan reaction. Like, George is like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's more so like I think like Revenge of the Sith is so good, and then the other two just lack in comparison to it. Especially like Phantom Menace. Like, I like the politics stuff, but
Phantom is my favorite prequel.
Even that, though, I think is a little bit too much politics for it. Although I will say, like, I do like seeing a lot of battle droids, because battle droids are like my favorite, like, just random droid, I think.
Yeah, battle droids too. Regular battle droids, not the super ones. I don't like the super ones.
Super battle droids are boring.
Yeah, they look
regular battle droids. They're great. Yeah. They've got too big of a neck that their head becomes the neck. That's not okay for the super battle droids. But but the original trilogy is just perfect. Like, if you watch them by themselves, they're a self-contained story. But if you watch them all together, it's fantastic, really. Like, I think that's what gives it such lasting appeal. It's that even if you just watch one of them, it still feels like a complete story. Right. And
that's true. You could watch all of them by themselves.
Yeah. And I don't think that's as much the case for like especially not Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones does not feel like you could watch that as an individual story. Revenge of the Sith, yeah, you can kind of see that being like its own individual story. Phantom Menace as well. But like, the original trilogy just nails it in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, and I meant to say this on the Attack of the Clones one, but I forgot. But like, Attack of the Clones does a lot of the heavy lifting in the prequels.
Yeah.
It really has to bridge a 10-year gap from Phantom and then get you close enough to think that Anakin can turn dark side. And it has to lift all of that and get Palpatine into the emergency powers. It has to do a lot of that heavy lifting.
Oh, yeah.
It has to introduce the clones. It does a lot. And actually, I talked about it off air with you, but just like I really enjoyed it a lot more this time when I did the watch for this, because of the different perspective of it, and it was really interesting. So I definitely recommend for people to listen to that, as we're going to look at a lot of it at Boba's perspective. But like I said, we talk a lot about the whole movie too, because it'd been so long since I talked to my cousin about about Attack of the Clones. We went and saw that movie together when he was 5 and I was 11 in theaters. And I remember that. I remember leaving the theater and going to get some going to Walmart and getting some Star Wars action figures. Nice. It's like my mom got me a present for being good at the movies or whatever. And that's what it was. So I really enjoyed revisiting that. But So my favorites in those, I'm not sure if I've ever said them in this. I don't know. We may have back when we first launched this thing, but it's favorite movie is Empire. Favorite character or is that what I said? Favorite character is probably going with Obi-Wan, who's also my favorite Jedi, so I don't have to answer that one, I guess. And then favorite background Jedi, Kit Fisto. Favorite background character, I'll add this though too, is Sidon Athano, the Crimson Corsair in the Force Awakens. He looks so cool. Favorite villain is probably Darth Maul. And favorite trilogy is probably the originals. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I love all three. So, and my favorite spin-off movie, Rogue One. There you go. There's only been 2 so far, though.
Yeah, unless you count the Attack of the Clones movie from 2008, but
like the Clone Wars one. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. Oh my god.
I don't, because it's just 3 episodes pushed together. Like it's not an actual movie.
Yeah.
So let's get into it then. Book of Boba Fett finally gets a trailer. Came out a week before Disney Plus Day, so everybody was like, oh, they got that out of the way and they'll show us fun stuff on Disney Plus Day. Nope, unfortunately, not the case. Then we got some even more bummer news. I think it was last Friday. We got the news of Rogue Squadron, the Patty Jenkins movie that was announced on Disney Investor Day in December of last year, is on hold indefinitely. Currently, Patty Jenkins is working on Wonder Woman 3 and Cleopatra for Paramount. And Wonder Woman 3 is, of course, at Warner Brothers. There's also been rumors of script issues. I would assume if that's the case, maybe the script issues is what's delaying it. You know, that what WB is trying to fast track Wonder Woman 3. So if she had a window to do it, and then now that window is shorter because of the script issues, then she's not going to be able to do it right away, and she's going to get pushed. To another thing, some also have been reporting that this thing is dead and not going to be continued at all. Which we've talked about this on the Marvel one like 30 minutes ago, but I'm going to list it all out again here. What is up with Star Wars since the takeover and having issues getting projects off the ground? Rian Johnson's trilogy announced before The Last Jedi comes out, which was a mistake to even announce that. I know it shows confidence in it, but then fans, half of the fans hated Last Jedi, half of them liked it.
Right.
And to make that announcement before the movie is released is, I think, puts Ryan in a bad spot, because he is asked about this every time he does a press thing going on. And the answer is probably that it's never happening because of the pushback from the Last Jedi. He is also now doing like millions of Knives Out films for Netflix and got like $500 million to do them. He doesn't need Star Wars. By the time he would actually do it, we have 3 movies on the slate, which is 2023, 2025, 2027. If his movies are none of those, then you're looking at 2029, which is 12 years after he did The Last Jedi, which is probably not going to happen, I would think, at this point, right? We haven't heard anything about it. They're probably just sweeping it under the rug. We had the Game of Thrones guys, Benioff and Weiss, who were supposed to do, again, this is another bad thing here. They announced that they're going to do Star Wars, then everybody hated the Game of Thrones finale, and they went off to Netflix instead, because who knows? We don't know what was going on there. Then we get, before that, in 2015, Josh Trank was working on a Boba Fett movie. He gets kicked off because of his on-set behavior of the Fantastic Four reboot. Solo, Miller, and Lord are removed, and Ron Howard replaces them. The Kevin Feige movie, we've had like no movement on whatsoever, and now we get the Patty Jenkins movie. halted. So why announce these things without having more concrete plans? I think that's my biggest thing, right? It seems like Lucasfilm likes announcing things when people are hot, you know? Rian Johnson, we're really happy for you. The Last Jedi ramping up. We're going to give you a trilogy. Game of Thrones is hot right now. Let's get the Game of Thrones guys. Then it doesn't work out, and they're like, okay, never mind. You know, what's hot right now? Marvel? Let's get Kevin Feige in here, right? Like, that's what it feels like. Taika Waititi's hot. Let's get him in here. Like, but it's taking forever to get to any of these movies. It's ridiculous.
Right. I think it's I think the interesting thing is we've kind of been spoiled with a movie universe like the MCU for a while now, where everything is like super planned out, and I feel like Lucasfilm also almost needs to take that sort of approach, not like just going after what's new and fresh or whatever, because inevitably that will change. What you've got to do is create a plan and focus on storytelling. And if you do that, that's more of like in the vein of the original trilogy, right? Like where you create a plan, you're focused on telling a story. You're not focused on changing it up because of what fans want, right? You're focused on telling a story that you think is meaningful. And I think that's where Lucasfilm will find success if they're able to do that sort of stuff. Right? I think follow it instead of like their calculus with, Marvel is good right now. Let's go for Kevin Feige. Shouldn't have been let's get the figurehead of Marvel Studios. Should have been let's adapt Marvel's vein of storytelling.
Yes, yeah. And look, I think that one's the furthest along from my knowledge. We have Feige, Michael Waldron, who wrote Loki and Doctor Strange, is attached to write his Star Wars film. So we do have something there, but now we also know Michael Waldron is now rewriting Doctor Strange again. So he's probably not working on Star Wars right now. There's rumors. Oh, before we get to that, there's rumors. But before we get to the rumors, just want to say, some people might say, well, why are you so upset about this? Because we're getting all this other great content. It's true. But my issue is it doesn't look good from the outside. It doesn't instill me with confidence that they know what they're doing. When I talked about my biggest complaint being the droids, right? But my other biggest complaint is the no plan. The plan was JJ kicked this thing off beautifully, hand it off to somebody else. And Ryan's idea is to do a 180, like just go a total opposite way, right? And I love The Last Jedi. But my point being is then he has to hand it off to Colin Trevorrow, who then gets kicked off. They bring JJ back because they're pressed for time because they want to meet a release date. And JJ is like, okay, well, some of the fans didn't like that, so let me kind of go back this way a bit. And when you have no plan, it makes it harder. Like JJ was making decisions on if Rey is going to be Palpatine's granddaughter or not up until like the week the movie releases. Like they had no idea, like he's like, do I do it or do I not? And it's that kind of thing that if they instead had told JJ, like, hey, really kick this thing off, write us 2 treatments for 8 and 9, just an outline, and then we'll have somebody write those and direct those. You don't have to do it, but we have an outline. We can go that way. But they want it to be really filmmaker friendly, right? Where they say, it's your movie, Ryan. It's your movie, JJ. Do whatever you want. And it makes it really hard to have a cohesive trilogy that way when you're getting what was going to be 3 different voices. And if you look at Trevorrow's story, I'm not a big fan of that. We talked about it on this show before. The Duel of the Fates. It's a nice name because it's based off a really great song. But, he was going a totally different way with it. Ben wasn't going to be redeemed. He was just going to go full villain. And we were going to get some weird stuff there, I think. And it like was going to have probably 3 different very different feels. I think like you said, it's not a cohesive trilogy. It's because of The Last Jedi in there. Because the other two now are JJ. And they feel very JJ on each one.
Yep.
And Ryan's feels very Ryan and feels very prequel-esque, which I really dug about it. But it makes it incohesive. And I hope that they're really starting to think more, like you said, to put a plan together and not just, hey, Feige, do whatever you want. Taika, do whatever you want. I mean, if that's what they want to do, whatever, I guess. But I think it'd be really nice if some of these movies connect at a certain point. So here's the rumors. This is from Big Screen Leaks. He's a pretty solid leaker on Twitter, though he got wrong that Disney Plus was going to have like an Obi-Wan trailer. But he's had a lot of other stuff in other departments and stuff. A movie is going to go in front of cameras next year, but it is not Feige's. It's not Taika's. It's not Rogue Squadron. This is before the announcement, too, that Rogue Squadron was delayed. So Rogue Squadron had the 2023 date, so everybody thought that one would film next year. But it is rumored to be either an Old Republic or High Republic movie. That originally, I think this is what Benioff and Weiss were working on. If it's the Old Republic. And then there's been rumors since like 2019 of like a writer working on an Old Republic script. So maybe they've been working on that and they're about to go forward, but we haven't heard anything about a director. We haven't heard anything about casting or anything. Now, of course, they really only have to start filming and getting ready by late summer of next year because they'll have a whole year of filming and post-production then. So that's how Marvel does it. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's true and we get something. And if it is Old Republic, sign me up. I don't want a Revan story, obviously, because you know what? You cannot win with that. If it's Revan and it's a guy Revan, people that played with a female Revan are upset. If it's a female Revan, people that played with a guy Revan is upset. Decisions Revans make is, that's not what I did in Knights of the Old Republic. Like, people would start thinking that way, and it's just stay away from Revan because people won't like it. But what are your thoughts on if there's an Old Republic movie?
I think it has a lot of potential, but like you were saying, very risky. Because like that's just inherent if you make like any sort of thing. I feel like with like a Rogue Squadron movie, like is now delayed and potentially canceled. You do risk that kind of thing where basing it off of, or even having it related to a popular video game that so many people loved, right? Like there's always a possibility that you'll get some hatred or some dislike towards it because that's just how it will be. But I would not mind a movie visiting the Old Republic setting and just like as you were saying, not going with Revan can't work really. But if like they find a way to work Revan in like in some sort of like cameo type thing, could be
Flashback
interesting at
or
least.
something with the mask on. You don't need to know them, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah. I think I want something like this. I want something, and I talked about it on here like 2 years ago, but I want something now that the Skywalker saga is done. Go to a whole unique area of the timeline, whether far in the future or far in the past, and just where we don't have to rely on cameos, where we're not relying on things like, it wasn't, JJ made it very clear he wanted to bring back stormtroopers because it's familiar, X-Wings because it's familiar. I want opposite. I want something brand new factions, new ships, new everything, because that's what I really liked about the prequels. Is like going to see Naboo and being like, man, these starfighters look awesome. And, going all these different things and getting away from Empire and stormtroopers or, seeing Yoda or seeing Boba again. Like I want to kind of get into a whole different area of the timeline and just really dig into that.
Yeah. Although I think you can get kind of both of that. And I wouldn't mind that. I was just thinking because I got an Oculus Quest and I played the Vader Immortal games. I'm not sure if you've heard about those or are familiar
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. I haven't
And
played them, but I know of them. Yeah.
it's a perfect mix of like having some familiar stuff while also going to a part of the timeline that hasn't been really experimented before. Like, Rogue One is between episodes 3 and 4, but closer to episode 4. This is like between 3 and 4, but closer to 3. And I think it's perfect because it mixes new stuff, new ships, just new things in general, but also like revisits enough of the old so that, because I think the danger with with going like completely in the other direction of like, all brand new is,
Doesn't feel like Star Wars.
yeah, do you get people into the theaters then to see it? Or like
Well, you'd
is
have
the
the
start
familiarity with like lightsabers, the
right?
Force.
I guess, but like,
Yeah.
is like the name Star Wars enough just to get people to go there without like it being like a familiar character? We've seen
Mhm.
it work with Marvel, so I mean, it obviously can work, but
And the
it
worst performing one has been with a very familiar character, Solo.
exactly,
So it is
exactly.
interesting. I think my point being like not all of the projects have to be like that, but like I think right now we're getting Mando is doing it perfectly.
Hmm.
It's doing it introduced us to a whole new like post Return of the Jedi. Here's a new character that you're not familiar with, and then season 2 they start saying, but now here's Boba, here's Ahsoka, here's Bo-Katan. They really start working those people in, and they got them roped in now. That people who never watched the Clone Wars are like, Ahsoka's pretty cool, So I think you can have those type of things really fill that void. Like Mando's filling the void of that. Like, oh, I want to see a familiar character. Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, the series, all that stuff is going to do that. But I think for a relaunch in the movies, I don't think Rogue Squadron would have been like having everybody be like, I need to go see that Star Wars movie that's a lot of X-Wing fighting. Like, I feel like if you launch with the Knights of the Old Republic, people are like, wow, this is a whole new thing. Like, this is, I think, like, starting a new saga might get people into the theaters more than, yeah, it's a spinoff that's, is this a sequel to Rogue One? What's going on with this? Rogue Squadron? What is this?
Yeah.
I think that might confuse people as well. What do I know, though? I'm not like a marketing person or anything. We know that because I keep saying put the shows on Friday. So there was rumors that Feige was looking at Chloe Zhao of Nomadland and Internals to helm the Star Wars film, which I thought would have been fun, but Hollywood Reporter said that is not true. So that was reported yesterday. So I was able to update these notes recently. But we had the Obi-Wan sizzle reel. It was about a minute. Had some great concept art that I wanted to share on here. Let me share my screen if I can. Boom. I really, really like this concept art.
Oh, yeah.
So for people listening, I'm showing Darth Vader fighting Obi-Wan. We have Vader talking to somebody on a holocron type thing. And then we have Obi-Wan on an Opie, or however you say their name, Eopie, I think, right? The thing that farts
right
in Jar Jar's face or whatever, and
yeah.
Phantom Menace. Very lowbrow moment there. He's riding one of those. And then we also get these cool planet, different places that we don't know where they're at, which I think look really cool. Like one of them looks like an Imperial place. You have like this really nice bright light neon city type thing, and then another city here. So they're definitely, he's definitely going off of Tatooine at some point in this series, which I think is fun. I think if we stayed on Tatooine, it would get a little boring. How many times can we watch him like converse with the Tuskens or something. So seeing this is fantastic. And I know some people are worried about, the episode 4 line of, which alludes to them not meeting each other since Mustafar, I guess. But, where he says that, I was the apprentice and now I'm the master, that Vader says. But I think this still fits in there. I think Obi-Wan having to go up against his apprentice as Darth Vader should be really fun. Lots of good story stuff. And Variety, I think it's Variety, has reported Hayden Christensen is returning to play Anakin in the Ahsoka series as well. And we know Hayden is back here for the Obi-Wan series. But what's your thoughts here on Obi-Wan?
I mean, yeah, it looks fantastic. I mean, I'm a huge fan of that concept art as well. I have no idea where exactly they are, but it almost looks like, just like a burning starship or something. But whatever it is, it looks beautiful in that. And I'm hoping that's going to be turned into something resembling like an actual scene from the show. Because if it is, I have a feeling that could be like a penultimate episode type deal, right? Like or maybe even final episode type thing. But it looks great. I mean, Ewan McGregor, fantastic actor. I do forget he's Scottish. I forgot about that until he started talking in the 1 minute and 40-second thing. I always forget about that, but then I started hearing him saying it, and I was like, "Yep, okay, yep, that's right." But these settings too. You can see the images of these 3 settings, like the concept art. Like you get the feeling of each of them as well. Like more than like a visual thing, you can feel like the Empire one looks like just gloomy and like very very much like their principle of order. And yeah, I'm very excited for it. Very excited to see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor playing their roles together, because one of the best parts of Revenge of the Sith, I think, is just how well they play together as actors. So I'm excited to see more of that.
Yeah, I love Ewan. I love Hayden. I think this will be just a lot of fun. I forget if this is only supposed to be 4 episodes. There were some issues with the scripts of this stuff originally too, where we didn't know if we were ever going to get Obi-Wan. It was announced, and then I think it was supposed to start filming in 2020, and then before COVID happened, it got pushed for other things, and then they had to rewrite. So it's probably between 4 to 6 episodes. It's a limited series that we're getting, and I can't wait to add it into my rewatch. I always rewatch these things chronologically, so I'm gonna go, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, then throw in Obi-Wan. If the Clone Wars was shorter, I would try to fit that stuff in too, but that's just 6 or 7 seasons of a TV show to throw in a rewatch is a little tough. Just a little tough. But yeah, I'm really excited to see. Originally there was rumors of it being Darth Maul was going to be the one he goes up against. That was already handled in Rebels. I don't think we needed to see that in live action. I do think it being something more personal to him and being Darth Vader, I think is very, very interesting, especially as he's protecting his child. And we already got confirmation that Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are in this series as well. Joel Edgerton reprising his role as Uncle Owen. I don't know, sign me up. This is my most anticipated Star Wars show right now. I mean, it's even ahead of Mando Season 3. I'm like, give me Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, for good reason. It looks fantastic. Like,
Deborah Chow is directing. She directed a few Mando Season 1 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, just the entire thing. It may have only been like 1 minute long, like the actual clips that we get of the show itself.
Yes, mm-hmm.
But Oh my God. It makes me so excited for it.
Same. And then Andor was announced for Q4 of 2022, which is July through September. So a lot of people are speculating we're going to go Book of Boba Fett till February. Maybe March is Obi-Wan. March to May. Bad Batch Season 2 in the summer. Andor in the fall. Mandalorian in winter. That seems pretty great. That's a lot of Star Wars. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, given the disappointments with the movies coming out, or lack of them coming out.
Yes,
it's great to see that this getting some love in the form of the series, right?
And that's finally happening. Like Marvel's been able to already release 4 shows, and we've gotten Mando. That's it. 2 seasons of Mando.
Oh, and Bad Batch. You've got
and Bad Batch, yeah. And season 7 of Clone Wars. But I mean, when we're looking at, Disney definitely putting the emphasis on Marvel, right? That is their cash cow right now. Star Wars has not been doing as hot as those because of some of those missteps of not having the plan and all that kind of stuff,
right?
Which has turned some people against it. So I do think that is, if they can just get that sorted out. But instead what they did was they were like, oh, we just can't do Star Wars right now. And they kind of backed off of it. And I wonder if Favreau didn't come to them with Mando, would we have had any show yet? I don't know. I don't know how they would have launched Disney Plus. That was their big ticket item, but it was Favreau who pitched it. So I really wonder how that would have. What does Disney Plus look like if they didn't launch with Mando? Because the Marvel stuff wasn't ready to go yet because of they didn't have anything ready because of COVID. They started filming that stuff in 2020 after Disney Plus launched. And it makes you wonder, what was the plan if Favreau doesn't come to them with this? It's crazy. At first I thought maybe they're like, oh, we need a Star Wars show for this. But it sounds like Favreau just out of the blue was like, what about this? What if we do Mandalorian?
Yeah.
And then after that, they were like, okay, and it became a hit, and they now are doing this whole, interconnected storyline with Ahsoka and Boba Fett and all that stuff. But it's just taking so long to get there because they waited until after Mando was a hit. While Marvel's like, we don't care if this is a flop, throw this stuff out, and they haven't really had a flop, so they're just raking it in. And with their confidence. And I think that's the difference between the two studios right now. One is very confident in itself and one is not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that about wraps us up for Star Wars here. Hopefully I don't get any news on Star Wars soon because I got to do all these Book of Boba Fett stuff, the run up to Book of Boba Fett and then the actual show. So hopefully no news comes out soon. Celebration is in May, though, I think, if that doesn't get pushed for COVID. So I'll probably try to do some recaps of that after Star Wars Celebration. But yeah, if you want to follow this show, you can follow us on the Twitter at Pod Awakens, Facebook.com/Pod Awakens, Instagram at Pod Awakens, or email us podawakens@gmail.com. Jack and I just did Marvel recaps of their Disney Plus day. That's on our podcast called To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. You can catch that on Twitter at TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. Email us marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com if you want to listen to that or send us mail there. And where can people find you at, Jack?
They can check out my Twitter at JCSewpersaud16 on there. Or if you're more interested in soccer, I have a soccer podcast at Final Third Show. Going to be talking about MLS, the playoffs. Just released a giant episode on the MLS regular season, breaking down every single one of the 27 teams and their season. was a late recording, so would appreciate if you're interested in that, taking a listen at that.
And I forgot to plug this. I'm doing a Knights of the Old Republic playthrough, full dark side mode, over on YouTube, and posting some highlights of that on TikTok. The channel name is youngsterjordan for both of those things. But yeah, I'm doing. You know what? I've never actually beat Knights of the Old Republic. As a kid, I was stuck on something, and I didn't have an Xbox when it first came out, so I had to play it when I had a 360. Then my 360 died. Couldn't play it anymore. Got it on computer, and when I was on my college program, I was playing it. Then, that computer, I got stuck on something, but then that computer, it didn't transfer my data on Steam to my computer here. So I was like, I'll just wait till the Switch one comes out, and I'll do it there. And so that's what I'm doing. I've never done that, but I've also never really gone full dark side. So this will be a lot of fun. It's making me feel really guilty at times, but it'll be a lot of fun. So I have a lot of that internal struggle in the episodes. The first episode of that is up now. So sometimes I'm laughing at the choices, and sometimes I'm feeling really bad for what I'm about to do. But you can catch those there. And so I should be posting the Attack of the Clones thing when I edit it. It was a long episode, so I got to edit that and, get that ready to release. So this one will be up first, and then you can listen to our Road to Boba Fett Attack of the Clones. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and have a great rest of your week.